Good morning. It's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. I hope you're all doing well. We're live. It is 6:01. I was debating what I was going to say. It was like 5:59 or 6:01. And I said, you know what? I'll just say it's 6:01 because it is 6:01. Up too late last night. Daughter comes down. Could you do my laundry? This is what I want to wear to school tomorrow. I'm like, yes. Yes, ma'am. So it's way too late. So it's tough getting up. Anyway, this is 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. We're here to talk about Agile and Scrum and not necessarily doing the kids' laundry. But that's, those are the unplanned things that come up that, you know, you got to do. But we talk about Agile and Scrum, and I'm Greg Mester, Agile Coach and Scrum Master. And we talk about Agile and Scrum in a practical and tactical way. Talk different things about doing stuff. Hopefully to help you get to your family or friends at a decent time. And we talked about a bunch of things this week about jobs, and we're going to talk a little bit about jobs again today. That's not quite pure Agile and Scrum, but it has an Agile and Scrum mentality to it. And then, we want to have some fun and balance the work and life. So, one of the things I've been doing is writing down on my book, like the ideas. And someone was asking me the other day about backlogs, and I think we'll do an episode on writing backlogs and how to do that and what to look at, and we'll do that later. But this is episode 178, and it's Thursday. Week's almost over. My PI meetings are over. They were late, so it was late night for the past couple of days, but they survived. But today I want to talk about transitioning, like assuming the job is lost, or a lot of times people put contractors in positions, and what they do in their HR, they put a time limit on it, and like a contractor can only be there for a year or 18 months or 2 years. A lot of times HR systems put limits on that. And if you don't do it right and do what really needs to be done and just like work 60 hours just to get all the work done, then you're not doing the management of the customer service. We're going to talk about that. It's like, what happens if you lost a job? They lose out, right? And then talking about leadership, crossing the finish line together as a team versus as an individual, and the impacts of such a thing. So we're going to talk about those two things today. I have other things that are the other day. Every day is something different. Try to keep it brief. I went a little over yesterday. Try to keep it small today. So first I want to talk about is the transition of job. So people were asking me the other day about they were contractors and how much time they work and doing all this extra work to try to make things work. And the place at the organization they're working at was kind of a messed up thing, and they have to work a lot of hours, and there's a lot of last minute stuff, and things aren't really organized the way they should be. And they're really working, and then they tell me, oh, by the way, my contract gets up in a couple months. And I'm like, so management's dependent on you to do everything, and your contract's coming up, and you're working these crazy hours and crazy time and stressing at it. I go, what happens if you don't get the extension, right? So so then you see where the quandary is, and why we talk about doing everything in 40 hours and getting it at a point where you can get the job done in 40 hours. You're not doing management of service nor the next person in line or yourself by working more than, doing the 60-hour days, like we talked about the other day, and lost revenue. The reason being is that they need someone, maybe the job. So here's the thing. So maybe the job they want you to do really takes more than one person to do. There's just so much stuff going on. It takes more than one. But they're hesitant to hire the extra person because of the time or how much it costs, right? They want to keep overhead low. So by them not hiring, so your best bet is to make it as efficient as possible and continue to make recommendations to improve. If they don't improve, one, it's on them. Two, you need to do it because you're going to go nuts and you're going to stress out, and then no one's going to want the job. And then I always say when they stress out like that and they work their ass off and everything, but then there's some technical glitch or loophole in HR and they can't renew your contract or say, well, you've been renewed twice. We're not going to do it again unless you come on full time. And maybe you do or don't want to do that. If you really were that good, they would offer you full time. Or a lot of times the money has a problem with that, right? But in the Agile and Scrum world, you need to think of ways of doing things very as lean as possible to get as much done in the time they want you to, they hire you to do it. And if you can't get more stuff in, that's what the beauty of the backlog. Everybody has this thing. The backlog is a visual of how much work that needs to be done. You need to do that, right? You're in that job. You're doing 60 hours. There's stuff coming from everywhere. Maybe there's lots of complaint. Who knows what's coming on, right? There's issues. There's stuff that needs to be done all the time. And I've been in many companies, and I've seen it many times, where there's always a fire drill. Every day is a fire drill. I need that, need this, need that, need that. And you got to track when you're in that mode, you got to start tracking stuff. People would think, I'm so busy right now. I'm working 60 hours. My day is full. I don't have time to write this stuff down. Well, until you start writing that stuff down, you can't reduce it. You can't give visual. You can't produce something and give it to the manager. These are all the things I got to do every day. This is how much time I spend on every day. There's a lot of stuff. It's not going to be maintained. And if you're already doing 60 hours or so, supporting that and working the time, that's a half a person. Just so you all know, that's a half a person's worth of labor. So you kind of can do it, right? Plus there's process improvement. The other thing is, and this is one of the things I was saying, and we'll talk about this more, but if you can save yourself a half hour a day on doing something, or 15 minutes, then take that half hour that you just saved, apply part of that to the work you're behind on, but the other half, apply it to process improvement. Think about how you can improve it. But all I just want to say on this topic is that transitioning a job, right? You're working your tail off. One is up to management, but you gotta let them know. Don't let them keep just like getting stuck with it. They may be as blind and busy as you are, and then they're just going to set themselves up to a point of pain because there won't be anybody there to do what you're doing, right? You need to, and this is what we talk about in Scrum and Agile, cross-train. You need to find a backup. You need to find why you're doing it, even if the person just does a little bit of it. You got it. When you're in those critical roles and you may or may not have to transact, you don't have no control over it. Everybody thinks they have control and decision. I'm like, no, you don't. Somebody's just going to come down and make a decision for you, and it might not be the one you want, and you have nothing to do, and they can't do nothing about it. So you got to find ways of transitioning, documenting stuff, setting things up for success where you're not there. That's one of the keys. So anyway, just be careful. And everybody sits there and says, oh, they can't let me go. I'm too important, or I got too much stuff to do. And I go, yes, they can. So I'm just going to, in this coaching session, just give you a heads up. Never think you're that important that the machine won't let you go. They'll figure someone else will take it up. But don't let yourself think you're that unimportant that you need to work 60 hours a day, because that's not going to work, right? You can't sustain it. You're going to stress out. So just worry about the transition. I don't know how well that session went, what we just talked about, but it is what it is. But be mindful of the job transition from when you end contracts to go to the new one. Management replacement. You're putting I put in years ago. I put in a 6-month notice when I was younger. A friend of mine, I was pregnant. I said, okay, I was going to start my business. They didn't have anybody come work with me until 2 weeks before I was leaving, and I gave them 6 months notice at that time, right? I'm like, okay, I'm just going to give you what I know, and that's it. See you later. So just remember that happens. Okay. So leadership and crossing the finish line together. I think I've drawn this before, but um, a lot of leaders, really good developers, they get really good. But if you don't bring your team along, it doesn't matter. So if your team is back here and you're up here, you're leading the pack, but they're way down here, right? You need to try to make sure they come up with you. You need to bring them up with you or just behind you, because if they're too far behind and you do something, that's not gonna last that long, because no one will know how to do it, and it won't have the value you thought it was. Because if it's just you leading something and trying something new, but the rest of the team's not doing it with you, it's not gonna work, right? Good leadership crosses the finish line at the sprint goal or wherever, together with the staff, the team, the people they're working with, and not individually. It's really interesting when you watch those bicycle races. My wife watches bicycle races, and they do this team riding event. Some of the legs where they have, it's the time for the 5 people at a time that make it through the finish line. It's not just the first person, but it's the 5th person, and that's where you get your mark. So that first person could beat the pack, right? They could be on their bike, and that would probably be a really good thing. I could steal it. They're on their bikes, I don't know. Can't do that. It's a terrible graphic. Anyway, they're on a bike. I should practice that before I start drawing bicycles or do drawings and things, huh? That would be a good idea. But if the leader, even though you know all this stuff, right, and you're the leader of the group, leader, tech team, whatever, if you don't transition that information to the rest of the team, it's not going to get what you want, and then they're always going to come to you to be the one to fix something, right? You're going to be the leader. Hey, you're the leader. Hey, fix this, and then your day goes crazy. Your goal with a leader, you may lead something that says, I'm going to try something, but then you need to bring that back to the team and have them try it also. And that's one of the beauties of Scrum and Agile. The Scrum mentality is do a spike, right? Figure out how something works, a new tech, new something. Try it out real good, and then share that with the team and do a retrospective. So those are 2 things I wanted to talk about today. I guess I'm a little quiet today. Am I quiet today, Bubs? Bubbles is here. Tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow will be Fortune Cookie Friday, so we'll do that. And I think I'm going to leave it at that because it's 13:46. Still Thursday. Cut it early. But I just want to remind, so 2 things. Don't always think in a transition position where you're getting to the end of your contract or whatever you're working on that you think that they'll fix it. And maybe we'll talk about a personality thing on that one. How to feel when that happens. You should prepare for your transition on your job if it's the case something happens or you got to leave. Maybe you get an offer. Maybe you get a job offer that pays you 50% more money and you got to leave. Now what happens, right? And then the other thing, leadership, you want to cross the finish line together with your team. Don't keep trying to do all these things on your hand, power through, be a super person. Make sure the rest of your team is also learning the new skill sets so that you can try the next set. Like if you learn a new language and you want to teach them how to do it, if you don't teach them how to do it, then they can't take advantage of that, and you can't take advantage of the next level in that programming language or that process you're doing, because you need to get them up to a point where they can do that for you. And maybe it kind of relates to the transition. If you're so far ahead of transitioning and doing all this stuff and amazing rescues and all that, but no one behind you can do any of that, what happens if you want to leave that organization or that team and go do the next thing? There's nobody there to take on your reins. So that has a little bit about doing that. So with that, I'm going to say, hey, thumbs up. Give us a little thumbs up if you can. Share with your friends and ring the bell. And it's Thursday. Some people, it's almost Friday already. So with that, have a great day. Happy scrumming and enjoy the day. All right. Take care. Bye. See ya.